call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regular council meeting for February 12th, 2020. Let's see, following the approval, Pledge of Allegiance, we have approval of the agenda. Council, I've got a couple items tonight. We need to remove items 5 and 6 down here, the closed session and the action item following it. The officer in question tendered his resignation this morning, so we don't need to take up those two items.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve this evening's agenda, striking items 5 and 6.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to approve tonight's agenda with the removal of items number 5 and 6, a closed session and a follow-up action item. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, council. The next item then is the consent agenda.
No, Mr. Mayor, missed the
Oh, no, you're right.
recognition.
Chief, the recognition there of Officers Walker and Bell.
Mayor, council, so due to the weather, the individual is not able to make it out tonight. So we are hoping to push this off till the 26th so we can actually get him in the building.
Okay. Counselor Jaramillo asked me a question, though. She's got something she would like to present maybe to the department. Counselor?
Sure. So, Chief Crow, I think I mentioned this to you before, but I was so proud of you guys and Edgewood overall for being the 5th safest city for 2019 that I just have a small recognition here, so I will bring this over to you for the department. I thought it would be good if the officers were here, but anyway.
Thank you. I'll make sure to pass that along to him as soon as I get back in the building tomorrow.
Awesome.
Like I said, I'll have Officer Walker and Officer Bell here on the 26th, as well as the individual that sent in that commendation that resulted in the recognition letters.
Thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you.
That done, now we can move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda, just with one correction to A, Town Council meeting minutes for January 8th, to correct my name on the last page of those minutes.
Second?
I have some other corrections needed on both of those.
Here.
Okay, so on page 3 of the minutes for January 8th, under strike item C that states Robert Rules of Order, do no apply to members of the public, should be do not. And then further down, it says she stated that if we are limiting time, we need to limit time for everyone. So I actually, on the note that I had given Juan, said no time limits for counselors for discussion or for public hearings. And when I looked at the ordinance, I didn't bring it with me, but when I looked at that, it did not reflect, it was still having a 5-minute time for certain things in there. And then the next one on the minutes for January the 11th, under governing body discussion, it's pretty generic, but there is something here that just says Corinna Christensen, Parks and Rec Administrator, gave an update on the BLM land and equestrian center. I just want to make sure that it's included that there were resolutions that council supports the continued support of both of these, the equestrian center and the BLM land. So I just want that reflected in there. And that's all I have.
Got a motion and a second. So,
You need to move to make those changes.
Yeah, so, well, don't we have discussion and then,
I'm okay with her proposed changes.
Yeah. I made note of them here.
okay.
I think that's the last one here. Yeah. Let's see, all in favor of approving tonight's consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, council. Next item is discussion items. First thing up is public comment on general matters. First person up is Frederick Hupperts. No, you got meeting attendance signage. Thank you, Senor. First person up is Sabine Price.
Good evening. I do have a request before you do the clock, the countdown. I went through a lot of research and I printed up a stack of papers for everybody. May I provide them to the council?
Sure. Thank you.
The mayor, you're hereby served by. This is just a copy. So thank you for allowing me to speak. I have a few questions of each member and then a very short follow-up. So my questions are, did all members on this board take an oath to follow and enforce the ordinance and resolution implemented in the town of Edgewood?
Ma'am, this is public comment. It's not really a question and answer.
Well, then I guess you didn't take the oath. I'm just asking if you took the oath.
I believe that's a given.
Did any of the ordinances that are written give you the option to ignore the facts of the ordinance? In that case, did some of the council members themselves violated the enforcement of those ordinances by disregarding the issues? It appears quite obvious that these ordinances have been violated by the mayor and several councilors. Having said this, I'm hereby requesting that the item of the nepotism violation be added to the next agenda for the next meeting. I expect that every member of the board shows the residents of Edgewood that you will enforce this ordinance effective immediately by removing Mr. Bassett from his current position as mayor. I'm sure you will all uphold your initial oath when you took office. Of course, Mr. Bassett, you can excuse yourself indefinitely from this governing body to spare yourself, your family, and the residents of Edgewood further public scrutiny and embarrassment. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Next person up is Cheryl Hupperts.
I believe we're allowed to take other people's time, so I'm taking a little extra time, and Stephanie and Ted have given me their time. I've done a little checking into other towns and how they operate, going online and talking to people in their offices. The city of Moriarty allows no public comments, and if you want something on the agenda, we request it by writing to the mayor what you want on the agenda, and he decides whether it's worthy or not. So that's an extreme, I think. The city of Albuquerque allows 5 minutes for public comments. Okay, I know you're talking about me. I'd appreciate you to be quiet. Okay.
I mean, I just think the same rules, again, like the nepotism, you're his first cousin.
Ma'am,
Get
ma'am.
6 minutes? Give me a break.
Ma'am, let her speak.
I believe it was voted last time to give minutes. That was what you approved. Okay.
We did.
That was voted by council. City of Albuquerque allows 5 minutes for public comments, but if there are multiple people who want to talk about the same thing, they designate one person to speak for the group. And they do allow 5 minutes. I looked at the city of Roswell, and they allow 2 different types of comments at the beginning of the meeting, like we do. Their comments are only to be addressed to what's on the agenda. Then just general public comments are held to the end. They give 3 minutes. None of the guidance I looked at allowed giving your minutes to another person. This procedure, I think, is going to cause public comments to go on way too long. It's not something I agree with, but you gave it. At the training that Randy Van Leck gave from Municipal League, he stated that public comments should not be in the minutes. I don't believe public comments are intended for people to just make statements to try to convince the people here that there's corruption, and that's what's going on in our town. I listened to January's audio. Mr. McGill brought up the family at the end of church who hooked onto the sewer line. Automatically, and they had to put in a ditch across the church street, so automatically he's coming across like this is corruption. Why didn't we get these lines in? Why couldn't these people get into the collection lines? Later in the meeting, we found out that Juan told us that it turned out that wasn't a place that the line was going to be. That's why they took it across, and they wanted to be on the sewer, and they didn't want to wait for the collection line to go where it had intended to go in the plan, in the design. And Mr. McGill brought out, how the town must have run out of money, so they couldn't get this collection line done. Anyway, just to, again, trying to point out how corrupt our town is. I just don't think that's the intent of public comments. So I'm going to ask you to look at your order operations again and consider allowing public comments to be from 3 to 5 minutes, no longer. Any public comments under discussion, items only to address agenda items, moving your public comments about anything to the end of the meeting so that we are not here all night. If there are a lot of people wanting to talk about the same thing, they get a designated speaker because they get up to 5 minutes to speak, perhaps, if that's what you, and that we stop the derogatory comments attacking council members and the mayor. I believe as this path we're following is causing a lot of division in our community. Maybe you haven't been watching the news, but the Pelosi-Schumer debacle, this is what this reminds me of.
Thank you, I guess. That's the only people signed up. Is there anybody that didn't sign up that would like to speak? Okay, seeing none. Move on over here to matters from councilors. Councilor Holly.
Okay. The only thing I have this evening is to announce that the Community Garden Planning Meeting will be held March 5th, that's a Thursday, from 1 to 2 at the Senior Center. And I want to let folks know that you don't have to be a senior to be a part of that community garden. They welcome anybody who's interested. So I believe this is posted on our website, and there's a flyer out in front, too. That's all.
Councilor Jaramillo.
Okay. Just wanted to let you guys know that along with Carla and Tanya, I attended the Municipal League Municipal Day up at the Roundhouse, and I thought that was great. Good information there, and a lot of presence and lobbying I know that was happening up in Santa Fe on behalf of the municipalities. I did go and I guess let the representatives know what we need, a couple of things on the ICIP, and then also just advocating for things on Section 16. And I think that, it was pretty well received. They have some capital funds that will be distributed, and so As far as the motor grader, I thought that that was received well. And then for the wastewater treatment plant itself, like on the plant, and then, like I said, Section 16. So learned a lot there about the status of the bills, and we'll see what comes of it all. I like Ms. Hubbard's suggestion about the agenda having the comments first that relate to the agenda items, and then at the end of the agenda having space for the public to give general comment, because that's always the catch-22. Do you have it at the end or do you have it at the beginning because people want to have a say before it's voted on, or do you want them to have a say after it's voted on? And so I really do like that idea. Let's see, what else do I have here? I would like to request on the next agenda youth programming. And if everyone is amiable to that, then I think that maybe Carla and Andrea and I can meet and have a quick discussion on where things are at now and where we're going to spend the monies that have been allocated for this coming year, just to get an early start on it. Because if the YES program is something that we want to do, then we need to get started early. So. Then also, lastly, this was a find by a community member, so I definitely don't take credit for the idea at all, but we have the ability to honor the Military Order of the Purple Heart. And right here in the room tonight, we do have a recipient of the Purple Heart, which is Thomas McGill. And I really just honor all of what you have done for our country and for us. And so for the next agenda, I would like to request that we vote on this proclamation. I guess we could call it a resolution, but the template that I have just goes through, this, and it's a very common thing for counties and towns to do. And then if we do pass this resolution, then we are able to have a ceremony in honor of the recipients in the area and also a sign for the town. So maybe you guys could, I know you want things in writing, so I brought the template for you to look at. And Mr. Abrams, this probably speaks to you as well. I think I read on your website that your father is a recipient. Yeah, so multiple. So I just think it's great to honor those who have served us and ask that it be added to the next agenda. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Abrams.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to the road crews, our recent snow event. I was very, very happy to see the roads were cleared off rather rapidly, and even though there were a few accidents, particularly this morning with the ice, but for the most part, our roads were cleared off in rapid fashion, and I'd like to just give my thanks and appreciation for that. We've had a big storm, and hopefully we'll get some more water. It'll keep us nice and moist for the spring. I haven't been here for a little while. I've been out of the country, so I'm just kind of getting back into the swing and trying to find out what's going on, where and who and what and how, and that's about all I've got for tonight, so I'll hand it off. Thank you.
Councilor Abraham.
Okay, well, I have a couple things. I talked to Mr. Torres a while back and got some information on overtime that we spent for 2019. And so I do have some concerns that we're spending a lot on overtime. And so, I think when the budget comes around, I would like us to look at ways to cut some of that. There may be some grant money that we've been reimbursed for this from the police department, Chief, that isn't taken into account here. But I am concerned that we spent $158,000 on overtime last year for the whole town. And I think that's excessive. I think we just need to look at it. The other thing is, I do think we need to, on the next agenda, I would like to have legal counsel here, and I would like to have a closed session to address some of the things that are happening, and how should we be responding to those. So I officially request, and I will send it in writing if you need to, that we put a closed session to discuss this suit and ask legal counsel to be there to advise us.
Is that it?
That's it.
Next item then is counselor matters from the clerk treasurer.
The clerk treasurer isn't here tonight, so I have no matters.
Okay. And the matters from the mayor, basically, the only thing I had much to tell of was, I too went up to the legislature in the last week and so, actually last 2 weeks, lobbying for our stuff. Like Councilor Jaramillo, I found him pretty receptive to the road grader idea and the sewer plant, all that stuff. Legislature's very busy. The 30-day session, they were just crowded. Sometimes is all you could do to get in and out of them stairwells and that. And also went over to Santa Fe County while I was up there and see if we could find somebody there to talk to, but basically was told they're over at the legislature and stuff, so I guess it runs all the way till, I guess, the end of next week, so when it gets over, we'll see what we get, but I think I felt pretty good about the way everybody heard us out on it, and I think we'll do all right this year. As for Santa Fe County, well, we'll just have to try to hook up with them after the session. That's about all I've got. I too want to thank the road crew. I think they did a heck of a job out there. I was coming down pretty good and hard, and I seen our trucks out going quite a bit, so I know they were out there. And they just need to stay with it.
Mayor, can I make one addition? And
Sure.
James,
And James,
yeah,
you were the fourth this time?
he was.
Been there, done that.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Yeah, I seen you out on the Bobcat there on the good
Mis-
pinch hitted there. I know where you're at.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question if I can. You talked about going up and talking about wastewater plant upgrades. There's $750,000. Do we have anything specific we're looking for, or just various equipment to upgrade the plant?
I'll finish off the stuff for the notice of violation, and then also try to have stuff for that pump there, in the little pump house. It's had some issues and with electricity in there going out of whack, and there's some stuff in there that's going to be needing to get fixed.
Okay.
And we do need to have a sit down with the REA. They've been blasting us pretty good down there.
What's that? What is an RAA?
Well, the co-op.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've had some big spikes down there that have tore out some of them, what do you call them, VH?
The blowers, the VHD?
Yeah, VHDs, yeah, the blowers and that.
The
got
wastewater
some real
treatment
weird
plants are
spikes in-
notoriously at the end of electrical lines, just like this one, because they're built out of town. So when the electricity goes out, they take a pretty big hit,
Yeah,
and it's affected the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
So we're going to talk to the co-op and see if there's something we can do to start preventing that. Every time the electricity goes out, the treatment plant probably takes the biggest hit.
A giant
All right.
breaker in there or something.
Thank you.
Anyway, so that brings us into action items. And the first item up is discussion, consideration, action on recommendation to reappoint Sandy Madsen to a 3-year term on the Library Advisory Board. Counselor, Sandy's been there a while. She's one of our veterans. And also, we'll get to her, but Linda Kissinger's also on there for tonight. But first, I'll entertain a motion to approve Sandy Madsen to another term on our Library Advisory Board.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to reappoint Sandy Madsen to a 3-year term on the Library Advisory Board. I would like from now on for us to make a declaration that no one is related to her.
No more than as a human being.
Okay.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve Sandy Madsen to a 3-year term on the Library Advisory Board. Start here, Counselor Holly,
Aye.
Counselor Abrams,
Aye.
Counselor Abraham,
Aye.
and Counselor Jaramillo.
Aye.
And then council, the next one is Linda Kissinger. She hasn't been there as long, but she's also come to the end of her term, and so I'd recommend her for a reappointment to the Library Advisory Board.
Mr. Mayor, I move to reappoint Linda Kissinger to the Library Advisory Board.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the appointment of Linda Kissinger to a 3-year term on the Library Advisory Board. Start here, Counselor Abrams,
Aye.
Counselor Abraham,
Aye.
Counselor Jaramillo,
Aye.
and Counselor Holly.
Aye.
And the next one then is an appointment to the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board. Let's see. This gentleman here, Brian Sauerman, is he here tonight? No. Anyway, Mr. Sauerman will be essentially taking the spot that Larry Miller vacated, correct?
Yes, he's the manager of the RV park.
Right,
Because the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board is specific to certain people.
right.
He's the only one who qualifies for that position, and he has stated that he would like to serve.
Okay. You should have in your packets, council, the letter of interest from him there, and so I would offer forward the name of Brian Sauerman for appointment to the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Brian Sauerman to the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the appointment of Brian Sauerman to the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board. Start down there, Counselor Abraham,
Aye.
Counselor Jaramillo,
Aye.
Counselor Holly,
Aye.
and Counselor Abrams.
Aye.
Thank you, council.
Quick comment. Did any of you guys see the news last night about lodgers tax
And
misuse?
Airbnbs,
Yeah.
yeah. We've actually started to look into it. So far, we've looked at Airbnb and VRBO, and all the ones we found on there that are listed in Edgewood aren't technically in the municipal boundaries of Edgewood, but we're aware of it, and we'll keep looking at it.
Okay. The other part was misuse of funds for crazy things.
Yeah, the good part is we don't have we're not funding buildings because we don't have a civic center or
Right.
anything like that. So it's pretty straightforwardly used for events and promotions.
Okay. Thank you.
Next item is discussion, consideration, action on the approval of the financial report for the month of December 2019. I'll entertain a motion on this.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve the financial report for the month of December 2019.
Got a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the financial report for the month of December 2019. Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
I've got
ma'am.
a question. I don't know if our deputy clerk will be able to
try.
answer this, but I'm looking at page 6, and this is under water usage, and it seems like we've got kind of big bills there for the community center.
We had a leak.
Oh, okay, that's what that is?
It's been fixed.
Okay, thank you,
Qualified.
thank you.
Also, I did want to ask if the report could be run with dates for next time.
Okay. I will ask. I
Okay.
think they printed out of the Encode system, so I will find out.
Okay, see if you can add that column.
And I had a couple questions. Under DPC, there's a delivery fees for almost $4,000. What is that?
For who?
DPC Industries?
DPC would be an item for the wastewater treatment plant.
Right.
So
Is that the cassettes?
what does it say, other than DPC?
Delivery fee?
DPC interest delivery fee. Oh, I'm sure it's the new crane part. The last electricity surge we had knocked out the
Yeah.
ability of the crane to work,
Okay.
so that's probably what that was for.
And there are quite a few things here. I think the VFD, I finally figured out. I mean, you guys were talking about that. There's several things for repairing that.
It was quite a hit this last time.
Yeah, and the sensor as well, is that what that was?
Mhm.
And what about, there's $12,000 for design construction overs? What is that?
What page is that?
That's under Horrocks Engineering?
It's for Church Street.
So what were the design overages? Do we know? If not, can we clarify that next time?
Was this on the drainage issue, Carla?
I don't know. I'll have to find out for you. So I'll respond to both of you by email tomorrow.
Okay. Because it probably is Church East where they're looking at things, right?
It is. Yep.
Okay.
And then $23,000 of the NMDOT entity sale? On page 8?
Yep. I think James can probably answer that one. That was, we finally got the invoice for the entity sale when they went up there to buy
okay.
the pickup trucks. It happened later last year, but we finally got the invoice from them.
Okay,
That was just the invoice finally coming through.
all right.
I think you guys got, what, 3 trucks for that?
3 trucks, batwing
Yeah.
mower, a bunch of.
Tractor,
Yeah.
yeah.
Trailer, bunch of stuff.
And then sewer tap oversight from
Yeah,
Smith Engineering?
that's our first residential connection on Church, and then we're getting some development who's asking some questions about where they can connect. In the sewer ordinance, I think it talks to a town administrator doing all the oversight. We don't really have that, and I don't know, even if we did, we'd have an administrator who could do that. So that's where the engineering oversight comes in.
Okay,
It's, I think it's referred to in probably, I picked it out, page 11 of the
On
sewer
pa-
ordinance, and it's subject to observation, inspection, and approval of the town's administrator.
okay,
It's the engineer acting
Okay.
in that respect.
all right. And then there's something here, Blue Book, for like $1,000 to wastewater plant fund. What's that? USA Blue Book?
I don't
It's
know.
that place that you can buy stuff,
I will find
filters,
out for you.
equipment.
So I'll find out about the Blue Book one and the construction overs.
Okay.
Okay.
That was all.
No other questions, I'll start to vote. Start down there, Counselor Harmio,
Aye.
Counselor Holly,
Aye.
Counselor Abrams,
Aye.
and Counselor Abraham.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item then is calendar review. Our next regular council meeting would be February 26th, 6:30 PM here, 2 weeks from today. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to put on our agenda on our next meeting, make sure that we have counsel here,
I've
legal
got that here
counsel.
in my notes.
Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? We are adjourned.